Earlier today, I spoke to John Puntis. He's co-chair of Keep Our NHS Public and a retired consultant paediatrician with 40 years of experience in the NHS. I started by asking him about the impact that these strikes will have.
The damage is actually quite difficult to quantify, but the key thing is that consultants as senior staff will have been prepared to step in and certainly deal with emergency situations, intensive care and what have you. They will be taken away from their normal activities of outpatient clinics, and that's where the main impact will be. Does it matter that outpatient appointments are cancelled? In some situations, no, but in others, yes. But overall, it's very difficult to quantify. I think with the preparation that has been made and the consultant cover, the damage will be, I think, limited. It will be confined as much as possible.
And will this strike be especially problematic for the NHS because of the time of year it's taking place? Obviously, we're used to hearing about winter crises. At the moment, there are high levels of COVID and various other respiratory diseases sort of circulating. Can you talk about the time of the year that this is taking place?
I mean, I retired 5 years ago now from an acute specialty, but I am in touch with both junior and senior doctors who are still working. And to be honest, no one really talks about the winter crisis anymore because it goes on all year. So things are really very busy in hospital pretty much all year round. And there are some fluctuations, I would accept that. And certainly in the winter, there'll be more respiratory infections around, as you've suggested. But actually, everyone is working at capacity pretty much all year long. And so I think the idea that somehow things just get busy at Christmas, New Year, I think is wrong.
And I'm sure our audience will have the utmost solidarity and sympathy with junior doctors who've gone through a really horrific experience during COVID-19 and are pretty much systematically undervalued by the UK government. At the same time, it does seem to me there could be a bit of a legitimacy problem with these strikes. And that's because lower paid workers in the NHS have accepted pay deals which are worse than what the doctors are asking for. So nurses being the most obvious example here. So do you think there is maybe tension within the NHS workforce or a legitimacy problem because lower paid workers have accepted their deals and it's now higher paid workers, so junior doctors, who are holding out?
Well, potentially that's a problem. But on the other hand, I think a win for the juniors in terms of a higher settlement than they've so far been offered and one that they could agree to actually will be something that other staff will look at and say, well, maybe we could have done better. And I think in any case, there's likely to be calls for fresh strike action next year from the nurses, for example. So I don't think the lower paid staff will begrudge the doctors, but I think it probably will make them think about taking further strike action themselves in the relatively near future.
And it seems likely that these strikes will be continuing into the next general election. If and when Labour get into power, what do you think they would need to do to end all of this?
Well, I hope that they would concede to the junior doctors a higher pay rise than has been offered so far, that they would put in place some mechanism to bring about full pay restoration over a relatively short period of time, that they would take moves to make the review bodies more independent of government when it comes to recommending pay rises for staff, and that they would also be happy to discuss how to prevent such major erosion of pay as we've seen over the last 13 years, which has actually now culminated in this strike.
That was John Puntis speaking to me earlier today.